guys, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10, the last one of 2023. And I'm going to ask for forgiveness right up front because I decided to try something new for this episode. And for my solo episodes, I usually live stream on my social media. And so I tried to use some new technology that would allow me to record and stream all at once. However, I don't think my microphone ever connected. And also, the recording just stopped because my computer ran out of space to save the recording. So then I switched platforms to just record. And so the audio is not as good as I want it to be, but hopefully you can look past that and just hear the message and the lessons, because I'm so big on reflecting at the end of each year, because I've heard it said that like how you leave something is how you'll enter the next thing. And so with that being said, I feel like there's so much that we go through in 1 year. Like so much happens in 1 year. And it's crazy how much we can forget over 1 year. That's why I love journaling, because it helps us to keep track of what we've been through, how we were feeling, what we've accomplished. So I was reading through my journal and I was just kind of blown away by what I've been through and what the things that I experienced this year. And I love to reflect on those lessons learned, because I don't know about you, but every year I'm getting better. Every year I'm learning more. Every year I'm growing. And so I always want to look back and remind myself what I need to carry forward with me and what I need to let go of. And I wanted to share some of that with you all as well. Speaking of journaling, 2024, I plan to release my own journal. So if you're not into journaling, this will be your opportunity to start new and get into it in 2024. And if you need a good book to read, if you need something to inspire you for your new year, may I suggest my book, Thrive: How to Let Go, Find Purpose, and Flourish When Staying Seems Easier. Because I know some of y'all need to let go of some things going into the new year. So I'm just saying. Might be a good idea to get a copy. But anyways, I'm so excited to continue putting out episodes of Get Up 10. I'm really proud of the interviews that we had this year. We had some really amazing people come through, and that is not going to stop anytime soon. This solo episode, consider it a little break before we get back into these interviews, and we're starting off January with a bang. I'm just going to let you know right now that we will be talking about healing like for a few weeks, because there's different types of healing. And so we're going to get into some of that. And I mean, I'm always going to advocate for healing and wholeness and mental health. So we're going to get into that with some very amazing guests. And we're also going to talk about homelessness for the first time on Get Up 10. So that is another powerful episode. And those are all just to start off the new year. So I can only imagine what else we'll get into in 2024. But before we get there, let's pause and reflect over 2023, because what a year it has been. I don't know about you, but for me, it was a great year. It was not an easy year, but it was a great year. And I really feel like God put me in position. And if he put me in position this year, I'm sure some of y'all could relate and say the same thing about where you used to be to where you are now. Yeah, get ready, because 2024 is going to be amazing. We're just going to speak that without fear, because I know since 2020, people will be like, oh, I don't know, I'll never say that again. But let's have hope. Let's believe for the best, you know? Let's bring good energy into a new year. So let's get into it. Here is my 2023 reflections. This is working. I'm trying something new. So I'm supposed to be live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, but I don't think Instagram is up and running yet. Oh, this is working. I'm trying something. There we go. Hey guys, I'm going to get into my 2023 reflections in a second. I just want to figure out how to get rid of this echo, because I'm trying something new. There we go. Hey guys, I'm going to get into my 2023 reflections in a second. I just want to figure out how to get rid of this echo, because I'm trying something new. There we go. You know what? I'm just going to mute myself and trust that this is working. Okay. This is the lifestyle, trying new things, and sometimes it works good and sometimes it's a hot mess, but either way, we go with it and we get stuff done. So, I got notes today because I want to make sure that I am on track and I don't miss anything important. There we go. Okay. If y'all could only see my setup right now, like the ring light, the laptop, the mic, the book, like it's just, this is the life. But anyways, I always love to do my end of year reflections because last week or so I started looking back at my journal, and there was so many things that happened this year that I honestly have forgotten about, and that is just how the human brain works. We be forgetting stuff, but it's so important to go back and remember things. And so here I am doing that, and I love to share it on my podcast because I know that if it's speaking to me, it's probably speaking to you too, at least something. And also just because I think it's important to create a space or something to remember things. So whether that's journaling, whether that's recordings, whether that's writing stuff on social media, like I've been using Facebook to remember stuff because, you know, it's going to pop up in the memories in a year or so. So it's just important to make sure that you are like marking things that matter to you, because you never know when you're going to need the reminder, or literally that, when you're going to need the reminder. So without further ado, I wanted to talk about my reflections for 2023. It has been such a pivotal year, a transformational year. It hasn't been an easy year, but it's been a really good year. And so I want to walk you guys through this year a little bit. And some of it I've already shared on different parts of my podcast. And I'll mention those episodes because I'm not going to go in detail as much today as I did in those episodes. So like if something stands out to you and you want to hear more, I'll point you in the right direction. But okay, let's start in January. This time last year, honestly, I was not in a good place. It was a lot going on, and I kind of talk about this in my episode called Dreamers and Doers. And there was just a lot going on. I was still getting used to living in Florida. We moved here last year. Last year. And then I was working this job that in the beginning I was so excited to get. And then as time went on, I was like, this ain't it. This ain't it. And I just knew like God had bigger and better for me. So to be stuck in this job that was not fulfilling was honestly, like when they talk about like your soul being sucked out of you or whatever, like that was happening like little by little, day by day, like pieces of me were being like chipped away in the worst way. So that was going on. Trying to be there for my daughter, but then also like being exhausted from work and then like other family stuff. It was just a lot going on. And also, there was no progress in my divorce in the beginning of this year. No sign of progress. At this point, like my daughter's father was just like, nah, like I'm not signing these papers. So I was feeling like I was at a dead end, wondering like what was gonna happen with that. Was I gonna have to start all over from the beginning with that? Like I just didn't know what was gonna come of that, and I felt like it was holding me back from doing the things I wanted to do as an entrepreneur. So I was frustrated. There was just a lot of frustration and like stress and struggles going on all at once, and I was not at the strongest point in my faith earlier this year, and I definitely was not putting God first or putting God over my mountains or struggles. I was letting the struggles win. I was making the struggles bigger than my God, and that's definitely a recipe for disaster, and that's pretty much what happened. So at the beginning of this year, I was optimistic, as I am at the beginning of every year, because I love a good fresh start. And the thing that I went into 2023 telling myself was that I will be positioned in the right places with the right people in the right timing. And the emphasis for me was really on the right people, because I had seen, I just realized I never started going live on Instagram. There we go. Okay, if you're just joining this on Instagram, I'm doing my 2023 reflections and you didn't miss much yet. So, anyways, I was just talking about the importance of remembering things and taking notes and going back and reminding yourself of what you've been through, good and bad, and all the lessons that you learned along the way. So as I was saying that Instagram missed, because we're trying new technology today. The beginning of this year, I was not in a good place for many different reasons. My job, motherhood, I wasn't sure what was going to happen with my divorce, just all these things piling up, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. So anyways, my thing for January was that I will be positioned in the right places with the right people in the right timing. And the emphasis for me was really on the right people because I definitely have my fair share of experience of being involved with the wrong people and where that gets you. So I knew that having the right people was going to be very important amongst the being in the right place at the right time. But it was really about the right people also because at this time last year, I had only been in Florida for a few months, so I was still working on building my relationships here. But that was what I was believing for myself, that it was going to be the right people. I was going to meet the right people this year. And I have plans, as I always do. So my plans were to pay off all my debt and to travel. Like, I really just wanted this to be a year where I put myself in position. However, I think 2023 was the year where God put me in position because the things that happened this year, I could not have done on my own. So, but that was not my mindset at the beginning of the year. It was like, I'm going to make sure I'm good and that I take care of things for myself. I literally took the calendar for 2023. Sorry if you hear my daughter banging on the door because it is what it is, motherhood. But anyways, I had literally printed out the pay calendar for the year and I marked every single payday and how much I was going to save and how I was going to pay off all my debt. My daughter's tuition was going to be paid in full. Like, I was just going to really buckle down and stay focused. And also I had plans for so many big trips this year. Mexico, Nashville, Texas. And that was just to start off the year. Like, I was so open to what the rest of the year would bring. However, those were all my plans, right? And that's not how this year went at all, really. But I could not ask for a better 2023. So another thing that happened in January of this year was that I took a trip to New York because my uncle passed away, and so we had to do the funeral arrangements. And I love any chance that I get to go back home to New York because it's just the place where the inspiration flows for me. Like, it just does something to me being in that atmosphere in the best way. And so when I had the opportunity to remove myself from my everyday routine, my everyday environment, and get into this environment of inspiration and just, it's just a different atmosphere. New York to Florida, like, come on. I was able to just reflect, and I remember like laying in this bed and I was frustrated because I felt like there was so many obstacles in my way of like the things that I wanted to accomplish, the dreams that I had. I felt like there was just walls and obstacles. And so I took time to reflect and self-assess, and I told myself, like, if these things, first I identified what I thought were the issues, and then I asked myself, like, if these things were not in the way, what would I be doing? And I wrote it down. And I think it's important to have those moments of self-reflection because sometimes the things that we think are obstacles are not really as deep as we think, or they're not really as big as we think. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I am notorious for getting in my head about things. So I wanted to do that exercise. And it's also, I'm really big on dreaming without limits, without boundaries. And so that was the opportunity for me to do so. And one thing that I was struggling with earlier this year was being unhappy in my job, knowing that I had a heart for entrepreneurship, but not sure how I was going to like bridge the gap between my current reality and where I wanted to be. I didn't want to leave my job because before I landed my last job, I was out of a job for months and I hate not having my own money. I hate being dependent on others to help me, and I just like to have my own. Like I love when the savings account is flourishing, the money's coming in regularly, like it's a good place to be. But my therapist had to remind me that if you're relying on your job to make sure you're good, you're already out of order, because your job is just a resource. God is the source. So again, I had to put that order right in my head. Instead of putting my job first, I had to put God first and remember that everything I have is coming from God. God is going to make things happen. He's the one that's going to open the doors. He's the one that has the funds. And I had to trust and believe that and move like that. So that was already like the first mental shift that had to take place for me to get to where I am today. Was just remembering that God is the source ultimately. And in February, again, there was further work on the inside that needed to take place, because I went to a conference, my first women's conference in Florida through my home church, and it was honestly a beautiful experience for me. It was a lot different than what I was used to, because I've definitely been through my fair share of women's events, because that's just my thing. I love a good conference. I love a good get together with the girls. But this was different for me because I was used to going to, just to be completely transparent, I was used to going to events where they're focused on Black women. And even growing up in the Black church, like being around Black women is a different energy, because we show up and we show out. The hair is done, the nails are done, the outfit is on point. Like, it's just, from the time that I was a little girl, I love to like sit in church and look at what everybody's wearing, because it's like a show. I love it. But for this women's conference, it was not exactly aimed at Black women, if you know what I mean. And it was amazing. Like, it was such a different environment. It was very much come as you are, for real. Nobody was trying to like outdo anybody. I'll never forget like this one lady, the first day she showed up in heels, like outfit was on point, and then by the next day she was literally in her sweatpants, because it was just that kind of environment. Like, and even though we're in our sweatpants, we're in our jeans, we're casual, like I felt so beautiful in that space because of the other people. It was just a safe space. And I think I just posted yesterday on my story how important safe spaces are. And I think the speaker that really spoke to me at that conference was Irene Rollins, or Rollins, however you say her name. I might be mispronouncing it. And her time on stage just really opened the door for me to release shame. Because at this point, earlier this year, I had a lot of shame that I was dealing with, because as I mentioned, my faith wasn't where I wanted it to be, and I was coping with a lot but not coping well. And so there was shame attached to that, and you can't really move how you need to move when you are being bound by shame. Speaking from experience, like shame, it's a weight on you, and you can't run freely or the way that you're supposed to if you're still bound by shame. So I had the opportunity to like be in this room full of women in that same safe space and say like, yeah, I am struggling with shame and I don't want to anymore. And for people to just come around me and like pray for me and lay hands on me and encourage me, like it was so powerful. So that was amazing. And also the other reason why I love a good women's conference, especially a Christian women's conference, is because one thing they're going to do is remind you of your identity in Christ. And yeah, the song that I posted today on Instagram says, don't forget who you are, and don't forget who you are. Because when you operate in a space of clarity around your identity, you just move different. And sometimes I think It's like either we forget or we're just not even aware of like who God says that we are. So I needed that reminder earlier this year and I got it. But I was still struggling in my job, getting unhappier by the day. I was applying for so many jobs earlier this year. Nothing was coming through. Everything was like, no thanks, no thanks. We've gone with somebody else. And I was just like, Lord, not again. So by March, I had my trip to Mexico. It was Monique Rodriguez, the CEO of Maelo Organics. It was her conference, retreat, getaway, whatever you want to call it. And it was for female entrepreneurs. And that environment was amazing. Like the quality of women that attended this event like blew my mind. Like there was definitely multimillionaires in the room and even in the audience, just to connect with like-minded females and also women who are running businesses, and just women with vision who are making moves not only for themselves but their communities. It was just different. It did something to me, and not only the people but also the environment, because we were at a like luxury resort in Cancun, and being in a luxury environment, it does something to you again. So at this point, I'm like, I can get used to this. Like, I can see myself having more luxury experiences and being around this caliber of people. Like, I belong in this room. And so it lit a fire underneath me to get back focused on purpose. And it just validated that my vision was needed, and I really needed that at that time, at that point in the year, because as I mentioned, I was struggling. The struggle is real, but so is God. So if you want to hear more about the Mexico trip and what it really did for me, I talked about it on my episode of Get Up 10 called Dreamers and Doers. So definitely go back and check that out. So fast forward, I come back from Mexico. I'm thinking I'm going to ride this high out, and it didn't last long. It really didn't. Unfortunately, the environment of my job, like negative energy is very real. And so whatever high I was on, the tables changed real quick. So my mental health is steady declining. I'm looking for jobs, nothing's working out, and I just had this one day where it was the straw that broke the camel's back, really, and I couldn't stop crying. I didn't go to sleep that night. I was stressed. I was so unhappy. Like, the tears were just flowing, and I just knew, like, this cannot be my life. It cannot stay like this. It cannot end like this. So I didn't even know what to do for myself, but I needed help. And I think I ended up like emailing my therapist, who called me back very quickly. And I just talked her through my thoughts of the heaviness, the night that I had. And she just freed me up to go ahead and leave my job and trust in God and trust that, you know, like I have a support system, I have vision, and I need to honor those things. And I needed that. I needed to hear that, because I think so often we can get caught up. You have to be very careful about whose voice you allow in your ear, especially when you have big vision and you're around other people who don't understand that, let's just say. You have to be very mindful of what voices that you allow to counsel you, because the enemy would love nothing more than to like throw some negativity in your ear and get you on the wrong path and have you stay where you're at in misery. But I trusted my therapist, and so when she said, like, if you want to quit your job, you can quit your job, I was like, okay, we can do this. And so I did. I decided to start making moves. I planned out like when my last day was going to be, and also how I wanted this next chapter to look like. I knew that I wasn't going to be able to move forward in the way that I wanted to without proper guidance, because again, 2023 was about the right people. And so I was looking to get into, okay, so let me just pause and add, when it comes to speaking, there is money for speakers. However, a lot of people have, as my coach says, a lot of people know how to speak. A lot of people have a message, but they don't know how to run a business. And that was where I was at. I knew I had good things to talk about, but I had no idea the business side of things. And so I needed help to navigate that and to learn that. And so I was torn between two programs, but why I decided to go with the Sauce Fam and the Secret Sauce Speakers was because last year, when I attended an Eric Thomas event, he talked about how people, when you get to the top, people will try to like connect with you, link with you, get together with you, and like ride off of your success. But instead of looking for the people at the top and trying to get with them, identify the people who are next up, who are up and coming, and get with them. And when I looked at the Sauce family, like that's the way I saw. I saw a bunch of people. And Coach Will, like I've been watching him for years from the social media sideline, so I've seen his growth. And I even, one thing about me is I'm going to do my research. So I even reached out to people and I was like, hey, like you part of this program, you see results. Because some of these people got programs and they don't have nothing to show for it. Nobody is talking good about them. Like people done got robbed and hustled. And I was not trying to be that. So I reached out to people that were affiliated with the program and I was like, how's it going over there? You like what's going on? Like, what's the results? Like you're speaking, like, let me know, because I'm trying to invest. And I also did meet with a couple other programs, and one program I had a discovery call with the lady and it was a really good call, but then there was no follow-up. And I think I reached out to her, she never responded to me, and then she ended up sending me an email with somebody else's name on it. So I was just like, yeah, this is not the one. So I felt good in my decision to join the Sauce family with Coach Will. And if you're a speaker, I highly recommend his program. And on top of that, I also knew that I wanted to release a book. In 2019 or so, I knew that I was going to be an author. And I'll talk more about that on another day. And in 2021, I had taken time to write a book. Like it was already done, but I just did not know how to put it together or get it published. And so again, I needed help with that, and I got connected to an amazing publisher. Shout out Extreme Overflow Publishing. Hopefully I said that right. And I was conflicted because I was like, okay, am I gonna go with the speaking or am I gonna go with the book? And my mom was like, why don't you go with both? And I was like, I didn't think about that, but also this is my X amount of dollars that I have to spend. And so that's really the determining factor here. But by God's grace, because he's always making a way, because remember, he is the source. The timing of things just worked out that I was able to work with both my speaking coach and the book publisher. Like the dollars, my coach had a little birthday sale going on, and that was God's timing. And not only that, but around this time that I was getting ready to quit my job and jump into the things that are on my heart full time, there was overwhelming confirmation. Like people texted me out the blue, like, hey girl, like I know that you have big dreams. I need you to go for it. Like God's got you. I would go to church and events and they would be like, let's talk about dreams and vision and legacy and purpose. I would look at signs and things and it would be like new beginning, new beginning, new beginning. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. I guess we're going then. So all of those things helped me to step out in faith as well. And so at the end of March, beginning of April, I started to make that transition. My hopes were high. I was excited. I was like, we're going to get right to it. I finally am going to have control over my time and my days. So I'm going to like go for a walk every day. I'm going to like clean my room every day. Like I'm going to get work done I just had such high hopes for myself, and which, I mean, as you should, but that's not how things ended up playing out. And so in May, I didn't have like the clarity that I needed to move full speed ahead, and it showed because I ended up like reconnecting with somebody from my past who was definitely our interactions over the years that we have known each other. I can't really say that they've ever put me in a better place, but I guess like the optimist, the lover girl in me was like, this time's gonna be different. And but the difference was like in the past, I didn't really have the ability to like recognize God's leading in the same capacity that I do now. Like back then, God would be like, this ain't it. And I'd be like, but is it though? Like maybe it is. Like maybe I just need to try it out. Whereas now in 2023, like if God tells me this ain't it, I'm gonna be like, got you. All right, let me make the necessary adjustments. I'm not even gonna play with it. I don't need to find out the hard way. So we have reconnected. And on another note, that's another thing I recognized in my journal about 2023 is that I spent a lot of time with the wrong people. Like, I like to call them place fillers because, you know, like when you don't really have any serious prospects in place, but you got somebody over here and they're kind of cute and y'all talk and it's good conversations and they're into you or whatever. Yeah, I had a bunch of those little situations going on in 2023 where it's like, I know this man ain't it, but he be texting me every day and we have good conversations, so why not? And now at the end of the year, when I look back on all of these guys that I was entertaining, I'm like, why was I doing that? What was I doing? Like, we're not doing that again in 2024. We're going to be straight up and honest with ourselves in a new way. So May, I definitely got distracted. I definitely spent a lot more time in my bed than I thought I was going to. I was like, I felt like I was like stuck in bed because I didn't know what to do. Like I'm like, all right, like, do I finish this course? Do I work on my book? Do I reach out to college? Do I work on my website? What do I do my podcast? Like, I just did not have that clarity that I needed to really take action. And so it just manifested in delay and distraction. And just like, if you talked to me earlier this year, almost to like the midway point, I was like, I don't know. I'm just trying to do this and this, but I don't know. Like that post that says, I say I don't know a lot, but I be knowing. That's me. I really be saying I don't know, but deep down I know. So it was hard for me to express like all the stuff that I had going on in my head. And I was frustrated at the lack of progress that I thought. Because in my head, it was like, it's all on my shoulders to make everything happen. And nothing was happening. So there was just this frustration that paralyzed me, honestly, and just I let it win. And so that shifted in June 24th is when my friend, who's like a big brother to me, called me and he was like, hey sis, what are we doing today? Because he knew like I had a lot of things in the background, but I wasn't really taking action. So he literally was like, all right, tell me what your to-do list is and I'm gonna stay on the phone with you while you get it done. And I was like, okay. And some of the things I was like, yeah, we don't need to be on the phone. I'll call you back when I finish. And that afternoon, I was able to get so much stuff done, and it just, something shifted. Like me doing stuff, getting stuff done, taking action, it shifted something for me, for real. And so July was a really big month as well because it was my sister's 21st birthday and we went to Disney World as a family. And I'm really big on family and I just enjoyed that quality time that I had, making memories, especially because we're dealing with some health issues in my family. And so it's like, you don't know how much time you have left. And so it makes the memories that we're making now that much more meaningful. And also it's just inspired me to look forward to my own family vacations and even family vacations in the future where like my siblings will have their own families and we'll really just be like this big group. That stuff excites me so much. And it was my first time in Disney World in like over a decade. So it was just a really good trip. And then a few months later, before I move on, I also found the good food in Disney. It's in France, y'all. If y'all in Epcot, it's in France because Disney is notorious for like subpar food, but I found the good food. It is in Epcot in France, okay? So fast forward a couple of weeks after that Disney trip, I got to go to Atlanta for my coach's event. And again, that was a major shift for me. I got to speak on a stage for the first time and get the recorded footage and just meet the people that I have been connecting with online in person. And I made some really amazing connections. And I feel like it just, I don't know, it's shifted something. I don't even really have the words for it, but I know that like my coach was speaking and he was talking about, I don't really remember what he was talking about, but I just know that he was talking about like God seeing us, and sometimes we need to fix our crown. And I don't know what happened, but I just started like bawling, and those tears definitely like released something for me. And from that day forward, I just had these moments where I would get emotional because it's like I knew like something big was coming, something good was coming, like God is working on my behalf. I didn't have the words to tell you what all was happening, but deep down I just felt like, wow, like there's some really good things up ahead for me. And to have, that first opportunity to really put myself out there professionally, it was amazing. And then to have again like me time alone, not as mama, not as the daughter, not as the sister, just to be by myself and have time to do what Ginger wants to do and to explore. 'Cause Atlanta, I love Atlanta. I've always loved it from the first time that I landed in that city, which I think I talk about in my book, but I've always loved Atlanta. So to be there again after all these years, I needed that. And then I remember spending time in the hotel, reading my Bible and just in worship, and God just like spoke so many things to me, especially that like the work that I was doing was not in vain. And I needed that encouragement like along the way, along every month this year of 2023, there has been so much encouragement and just God being like, I got you, like keep going, like this is gonna pay off, like I need you to plant these seeds, I need you to invest, like this is not the time to quit, we're not looking back, we're moving forward. And I needed all of those reminders along the way. So that was huge this year for me. And so in August, God was showing me, he was speaking to me on the importance of friendship and relationships and how beautiful friendship is, and how to be a good friend, and like just not rushing into relationships and allowing the test of time to prove relationships, and just encouraging me for like what is possible in the future. And then I had a really big breakthrough in the month of August as well, where basically my funds that I had saved were starting to come to an end. And I was like, okay, God, like I'm gonna need to get a job because I know you see my bank account. Like if you really want me to continue with this entrepreneurship thing, I'm gonna need you to make a way. And for whatever reason, like the Holy Spirit just had me praying, like release that which is due to me, release that which is due to me. I didn't know why, but I just felt like I needed to say that. And the very next day, I'm driving with my sister and I get a phone call and they're like, hello, we haven't been able to reach you. We have like $3,000 for you. And I was like moved to tears because I literally, like I said, I was like, God, I need you to open a door. I need you to do something if I'm on the right path here. Like I need some confirmation. And so to get this phone call that I had like thousands of dollars with my name on it, literally like hours after I'm praying to God, like release anything that's due to me, it was just like mind blowing and so humbling, honestly. And then August was also a big month because my baby started preschool, but I was excited probably more than her because I needed that time. Like it's hard to get that time as a mother by yourself where you could really focus and knock things out. So I knew with her being in school, it would open the door for me to continue to put in the work for my business. And so it did. I started sending out emails to colleges and I was getting responses, but I was getting a few responses. I was also getting a lot of like open but left on red type of situations. And so I was feeling a little nervous about, okay, like, well, once I send the email and they respond, like, what's next? So, because it's new to me. And I don't know. So things were moving along, but I just was not comfortable. And so I had a meeting for my book, and we were talking about how we would market my book and like what's the audience and blah blah blah. And I was like, honestly, I really want to speak to women. Like, I'm a girl's girl. Like, that's where my heart is at. And it was a moment of honesty for me, because with my speaking coach, he's very focused on like schools, which is great, but I knew that like I have a heart for women. Like, that's who I want to speak to. And so when I was able to be honest, I was like, let me pause before I keep emailing these schools and get refocused on what God has told me over what any man or woman could tell me. And that was such, again, a pivotal moment for me, because listening to other people is a sure way for downfall. But if you listen to the voice of God directly, if you know what God is telling you and you stick to that, you can't lose, because his word will not return void. So that was another big shift for me. And just, if it felt free, like, again, another weight, because I felt like to go into the school system, I had to like learn this lingo, gotta get statistics, da 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 da, and it was uncomfortable for me. But for me to market myself to spaces that cater to women, I was like, this is what I do. Like, yes. So that was big. And then in September, I was asking God to connect me with the right people, the means, the people, and the resources. That was my prayer for the month of September. And lo and behold, he answered that through somebody that had already been in my life. That's when, y'all know my friend Barbara, if you follow Get Up 10. Barbara and I really partnered together, not only as friends, but also like as entrepreneurs and coaches and stuff. And I was able to like share with her, like, okay, this is what I got going on, like, what do you think, what do I need to do? And she was able to like give me advice and be like, I think you need to do this, or like, why are you thinking like this? And like, it was just really good to have somebody to like bounce things off of. And I love that I was asking for like God to bring new people in my life, and he was like, nah, like, I already gave you the people, I've already put them in position, they've already been there. So that was dope. And then I was just encouraged to keep building, keep planting, keep chipping away, stop looking back, stop looking for security in a job when you know God has called you to so much more. Stop looking for old relationships to somehow reappear in this season and magically be the one, because they wasn't it back then, they're still not it now. Like, I'm doing a new thing. And if it's a new thing, that means that you don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it's supposed to look like, because I'm God. My thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. So anything that you could try to think up, try to put together, is not it. And I really had to submit to that, which wasn't easy, but I was like, okay, God, I'm going to start reaching out to organizations that are focused on women, like you reminded me. And in October, that landed me with one of my first meetings with a local organization that specifically helps single moms. And hopefully I'll be working with them in 2024. So that was really exciting. And the best part was that when I met with them, I was comfortable, because I wasn't talking about statistics and figures and buzzwords. I was talking about myself and my story. And so I was able to speak freely and confidently through that, which I never would have been able to do like in that school space. So that was major, because it was like, okay, God, you do know what you're doing. Like, let me settle down and be obedient. All right, y'all, we're almost done. We're getting to November now. So November was a really big month for me, because I have gotten plugged in at a group study in church, and it was called Freedom, and it was called Freedom, and it ended with the Freedom Encounter. And it was all about identifying, like, who is God? What does he say? What do I believe about myself? What lies am I carrying as relates to how I look at God, how I look at myself, and what do I need to replace with his truth and his word? And so it was just a really powerful experience. And so we came to the end of that 10-week experience, and that itself was powerful. I literally felt like God gave me rest, because for so long, like, remember how I started off this year in bed? Well, by the end of this year, especially when my daughter started school, I was tired, okay? I was very tired. I needed rest. Like, the switch to doing life with my baby, with my little girl, to like, okay, like, my daughter's in school now, we gotta wake up early every single morning, and I'm a night owl. It was rough, okay? So I was tired, and I expressed that, and I felt like that night God just came and like took a burden off my shoulders and was like, my daughter, like, it's not on you to make everything happen. Like, sit down, relax, and let me work for you, because I love you. I want to do that for you. I want to give you rest. I want to give you the desires of your heart, because I love you, not because of anything that you could ever do or grind or hustle or accomplish. So I received that night, and I just felt lighter. And then the very next day, the enemy was like, nah, I don't like this. Let me come in with attacks. And I really had to push through that weekend, because I was like, God did something so big for me this weekend, and I'm not letting you have that. And so it was very evident to me that I needed to like stay connected to God and what he spoke to me, and like fast. And I did. And also the month of November was, again, family time for me that I needed, with Thanksgiving and just making memories with my loved ones. And also something else that happened, a few more things that happened in November was I went viral on Instagram for one of my reels. To this day, we are approaching 6.5 million views. Just crazy. Like, if I go on my Instagram page right now, it says that my reach in the last 30 days was like 3.2 or 3.6 million people. So that was crazy, and my audience really grew because of that. And as a creator, when you're constantly showing up in these places to finally see like a result, was really, even though it wasn't original content, like I took a CapCut template and made it my own, but it still felt good to like see a reward for something that I created as a creator. Because the life of the creator is that you keep creating, you keep making things, but how it may be received is not on you or not up to you. So see it like finally pay off was really exciting. And then also before Thanksgiving, I watched my coach close on $10,000 deal in a matter of minutes with ease. And that inspired me, because I'm like, okay, if he could do it, I could do it too. And so that was really encouraging. And to close off the month of November, I got the phone call that I was officially a divorced woman. So that was huge, and I'm still blown away by God's goodness. And if you want to hear more about that, you can check out the episode of my podcast called See You in Court, because I talk all about it. But that was huge. So November was like a breakthrough month, and then I decided to go into another period of fasting. And so we started with the divorce, and we ended with me becoming a TEDx speaker. I'm so excited for that event next month. I also went to my friend's vision board brunch, and that was another God making a way type of situation earlier this month of December, because I financially could not afford to be there, but my friend got sponsored tickets, and then my parents were like, that will be your birthday gift. So that was my first time going to Miami, and again, just the goodness of getting away and recharging. Like, traveling is very therapeutic for me. So to be able to do that, and also just being in a room full of women with dreams, is nothing like it. And I was able to speak life into this young girl, which actually turned out to be an answer to her mother's prayer. So that was crazy. That was all God. 'Cause I didn't know what I was doing. I was just being myself. Little did I know I was being the answer to somebody's prayers. That's a word right there. When you show up as yourself, you're actually being the answer to somebody's prayers. Or I can't even say when you show up as yourself, because when you show up as who God called you and created you to be, you're answering prayers. Anyways, so yeah, and then my book got released like a couple of days later, and I got to go back to New York again. As I did earlier in the year, I got to now end the year in New York for my birthday, and I had one of the best birthdays this year that I have had in the past few years, and I talk about that on social media. So it's been a couple of weeks now since my birthday, so you can easily find the post, and I share about what I did. Really, I just prioritize my favorite things, like good people, good food, and my favorite places. I didn't try to do anything crazy, extra. It was so simple and so good. So, as I was saying, 2023 was really a year of spiritual discipline, honestly, because I heard Mike Todd say, like, if you can have the best year of your life spiritually, you'll have the best year of your life, period. And I held on to that because as believers, all the time, we talk about putting God first and seek ye the kingdom first. But it's like, do we actually do it? So I wanted to make sure that I did that. And that showed up as worship. That showed up as praying. That showed up as fasting. That showed up as getting in my word every single day. I think I missed like a handful of days, but at the end of the day, I read my Bible from April to December, like every single day. And we did a lot of identifying fear and removing it. And I just saw so much of God's goodness, and I focused on that. I did a lot of Thanksgiving, a lot of praising him in advance. We did the work in 2023. We made things happen. But really, I think also God connected me with the right people, as I asked for him to do in the beginning of this year. And so I just want to shout out a few people. I want to shout out Siobhan Mitchell, who we met in Texas this year, and she has given me so many opportunities, from being in her magazine, Seated, to being on her podcast, Seated with Strangers Pod. And we are getting ready to try to launch a Florida chapter of Seated with Strangers, the dinner parties. And her seeing me this year was really encouraging, and I was also inspired by how she runs her business. So yeah, I already mentioned my girl Barbara holding me accountable and being there as a listening ear. Obviously, Coach Will and the Sauce family, you already know. I want to shout out Mandy and my church family for their encouragement and prayer and support. Mandy actually does marketing for a living, so we were able to work together, and she helped me to just organize my thoughts and move forward with confidence. I want to shout out my former coworkers, because even though my last job was a hot mess, the people that I worked with were amazing. And so to this day, like, they're still some of my biggest supporters, and I try to hang out with some of the girls from my last job. We try to get together monthly and just have fun and like text each other and check on each other. I also want to shout out Marsha, Wilda, and Charlie. God has answered my prayers through my friendship with them as well, because we're all mothers, we're all entrepreneurs, we're all kingdom women. And so to have a circle like that, where it's like I can come to you for advice, we can be honest, we can be real, we can pray, we can talk about what we're going through. It's nothing like that. So God did indeed bring the right people into my life in 2023, and I really feel like 2023 I allowed myself to be positioned. And so in 2024 I'm expecting open doors, and I don't know if that's for anybody else too, but I have really good feelings about 2024 and just all that God will continue to do. So yeah, that is my end of year reflections. Hopefully the recording isn't too crazy if you're listening to this on my podcast, because we tried something new today. I tried some streaming software so that I could stream to both Instagram and Facebook at the same time and get my recording with no issues, which that didn't even happen because I ended up running out of space on my computer. I need to get some hard drives or something, because that is the content creator life. But anyways, it's fine. We'll work our magic and put these things together. So if you're listening to this, I hope that these last few days of 2023, that God is just so good to you, and that 2024, you would trust him in a new way, and that it would be a year of open doors for you as well. Open doors and opportunities and answered prayers. And also, I'm so excited for Get Up 10 in 2024, because we're starting off with a bang. We're going to be talking about healing. We're going to be talking about homelessness, something I've never talked about, or not me personally, but like my guest is sharing about her experience with homelessness. And that's a topic that I have never discussed before on Get Up 10. So I'm really excited. And the healing episodes are going to like blow your mind because the guest that I have on those topics is just incredible. So stay tuned, and thank you for your support throughout this year, because we had a big relaunch of Get Up 10 in 2023. That was part of me doing the work and getting back in action. And we're going to continue that. Maybe this will be the year that we hit 100 episodes, and whatever else God has in store, I'm just here for it. So blessings to you, and thank you for your support, and go get your copy of my book Thrive if you haven't already. Yeah. Happy New Year. Bye.